This is the 5.4 Ready, Set, Go, and the very first question asks you to rewrite the given equation so that it's in slope-intercept form, which is that y equals mx plus b, which basically means get y by itself. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides. That leaves me with negative 14y equals negative 56 minus 7x. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 14. And every single thing needs to be divided by negative 14. And that leaves me with plain y over here. Use my calculator to figure out what 56 divided by 14 is. 4. Negative divided by negative is a positive 4. And then 7/14 is going to be negative divided by negative is going to give me a positive. And I know that 7 goes into itself once and it goes into 14 twice, so I'm going to simplify that to 4 plus 1/2 x, or y equals 1/2 x plus 4. Both of those are correct. So they want you to do the same thing for number 2 and the same thing for number 3. So for those problems, you're just going to get y by itself. Question number 4 gives you more practice for that. It gives you these equations. And it wants you to match them with their same equation that is in standard form, which is basically asking you to get x and y on the same side. So we'll do this one as an example. Y equals 7x minus 3. I want to get the x on the other side, so I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides. And that leaves me with negative 7x plus y equals negative 3. So that answer is correct, but if it's not one of the multiple choice options, sometimes mathematicians don't like the first number in an equation to be negative. So you could divide everything by negative 1. And that would give you positive 7x minus y equals positive 3. So you would just drag this equation next to this equation and then keep matching. If you have a question with a fraction on it, like number 5, let's do that one. Y equals 3 over 5x minus 2. So if you have fractions, then we like to eliminate those. So first thing I'm going to do is same first step. I'm going to get x to the other side. I'm going to subtract 3/5 x from both sides. And that's going to leave me with negative 3/5 x plus y equals negative 2. And then, as I've been saying, if you ever want to get rid of a fraction, you multiply by the denominator. So when I do that, I need to multiply the whole entire equation by the denominator of 5. So when I do that with the fraction, those 5s are going to cancel, and I'm going to be left with just the numerator and x, negative 3x. But then I also need to multiply 5 times y, which gives me 5y. And I need to multiply 5 times the constant of negative 2, which is going to give me negative 10. So that is good, except for we've got this first number that's a negative. And sometimes they get grouchy, so we're going to multiply everything by negative 1. Or you could divide everything by negative 1. And when you do that, you get positive 3, negative 5y, positive 10. So 3x minus 5y equals 10. So you would drag these two equations next to each other. And they will match. The next section gives you a story problem. It says, on the final for creative writing course, Ben was required to write a combination of at least 10 poems or paragraphs. When Ben knew that each poem would take him 30 minutes to write, and each paragraph would only take him 10 minutes to write. Ben was given a total of 2 hours to complete the exam. So they want you to write an equation for time and write an equation for needs. So we have, I'm going to write in my notes down here that paragraphs for number 5 equals X, and poems equals Y. And so in this equation, since it's talking about time, all of the numbers are going to be representing time. So the times in here were 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and 2 hours. So I'm going to say so each poem is, I think I mixed those up. I'm going to change my mind and say poems are X and paragraphs are Y. And it says and that's just because they listed poems first. So each poem would take 30 minutes. So that means I've got 30 minutes per X plus 10 minutes per paragraph. That's per Y. And I need it to be less than or equal to 2 hours. But I can't put 2 hours because this is in minutes and this is in minutes. So I need the hours to be in minutes. Minutes, minutes, minutes. So in 1 hour is 60 minutes, so 2 hours would be 120 minutes. So that's my equation. And you're going to do the same thing for needs. When you look at needs, he needs a combination of, so poems is still going to be X, paragraphs is going to be Y, and basically any number of poems plus any number of paragraphs needs to be greater than or equal to 10, right? He needs at least 10 poems or paragraphs, but it could be any number, so we don't need to put we're not multiplying them, we're just saying poems plus paragraphs needs to be greater than or equal to 10. And then, so that's problem 5 and problem 7. 6 and 8 want you to graph those. And so I am suggesting that since they're both in standard form, that you try to find the X and Y intercepts. And then plot those points. So x-intercept is when you plug in a 0 for y, and the y-intercept is when you plug in a 0 for x. And so if I plugged in 0 for y, I'd get 10 times 0, which I know is going to be 0. So I'm going to end up with 30x is less than or equal to 120. Divide both sides by 30. X is less than or equal to 4. And if I plugged in 0 for x, then the 30x would go away, and I'd be left with 10y is less than or equal to 120, so y is less than or equal to 12. All right, so that means on the y-axis, I need to go to 12. And on the x-axis, I need to go to, and it says less than 12, so this way. On the x-axis, I need to go to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it also says less than. So then I'm going to connect those 2 points, and I'm going to shade on that side. And you're going to want to do the same thing for the equation here. Plot the x and that y-intercept, connect and shade. 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are asking you to just check an answer. So they're saying, is h equals 3 a solution? So I'm going to plug in 3 in place of h. So I'm going to say 3 times 3, because that's what h equals, minus 4. Is that equal to negative 3? So in this case, I can actually do the parentheses first. 3 minus 4 is negative 1. 3 times negative 1, does that equal negative 3? And the answer is yes. Same thing on number 10. Anytime you see an h, you're going to replace it with a 3. 3 times 3, is that equal to 2 times 3 plus 2 minus 1? So 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And then the last 4 problems are just solving for x. So I'll do number 17 because it's the most steps. Since there are parentheses, we're going to start with that distributive property. 4 times 6 is 24x. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Is that equal to? 3 times 8 is 24x. 3 times 5 is 15, minus 19. So that was my first step. I did the distributive property. Second step is to combine like terms on the same side. So I can combine the positive 15 and the negative 19. And when I do that, I'm left with 24x minus 4 equals 24x minus 4. And at this point, I'm like, wow, that's weird. Both sides look the same. I wonder if that means something. I'm not sure, so I'm going to keep solving. So I'm going to get my x's on the same side. When I do that, they cancel, which is weird. So now I'm left with negative 4 equals negative 4, which is true. So anytime you solve and your variables cancel and you're left with a true statement, this means all real numbers will work. Or sometimes that's called infinite solutions. But basically what it means is since both sides of the equations are exactly the same, any number that you plug in for x will make it true. So any number will make this one true. All right, so that is the 5.4 RSG. I hope it helps.